A very good morning. I'd like to meet Ms. Shivagami and my fellow classmates. My name is Nish Prabhu Analaki Natarajan, and together with me today, Pravina Julia Jan Jayabal is here. And we are going to present on the topic developing teaching materials for listening activity. All right, for the introduction part, English speakers often find the words oral and oral similar, but they are actually having different meanings indeed. The ear or hearing is referred to as aural, whereas the mouth or speaking is referred to as oral. Good listening skills help to improve language, socializing, and productivity. Dictation, sound hunt, telephone game, and many more activities can help to improvise listening skills. Authentic items are basically materials that were not created for pedagogical purposes. Using such contents to teach English can help students to learn the language in a more interesting way. Besides, students will be able to improvise communication skills and boost up their confidence as well. So, moving on to the next presenter.
Hi, Miss. Good day. My name is Pravina Julia John Jayabalan. So I will be explaining about the first material of the. So I will be explaining about the description of authentic material for the first material that we have provided. So authentic material is any material written in English that is not created for intentional uses in English language classroom. Using this content to teach English language can make the learning process more engaging, informative, and motivating for students, especially for listening skills. So for this first material, I have used Zoom, Canva, and Padlet to create the listening material. For a change, I have also used Vocaro to record the conversation of the conversation, as it is very free and easy to be accessed. So moving on to the next one.
All right, thanks, Verena. So I'll be explaining about my description of authentic material. By definition, authentic material are any English language materials that were not created with the goal of being used in English language schools. However, the material used for the second listening skills is an excerpt picked from a magazine regarding an ear-piercing ceremony, which was then read and recorded by myself with the help of few applications such as Vocaro and many more. Besides, despite all of this being a non-educational topic, it is also still being used to teach to the students as they can explore the Indian culture. That is why I mainly choose this topic. And let's move on to the lesson plan part.
So for the lesson plan, I will be explaining on the first material. So the stages that I have chosen for this activity is production. So we all know that production stage is to provide a content of the new language, which is listening skills that would occur naturally. This kind of activity provides students with an opportunity to recognize the relevance and the usefulness of the new language that have been learned, and this can be very motivating for students. So the content of this material is, we have chosen the title, A Bundle of Joy, and the skills is listening skills. The mode for this class will be online, and the teaching aids that we have used is Zoom, Canva, Padlet, and Vocalo. Moving on to the teacher's role here, teacher will start the Zoom session, and she will also play a pre-recorded conversation by scanning the QR code. Next, students will be asked to closely pay attention to the conversation between Siti and Raju. Finally, students will be provided with a link to Padlet to answer the multiple choice questions there. So overall, this lesson is to enhance the students' listening skills and also to give them exposure to Malaysian culture. So moving on to the next one.
All right, thanks, Prerna. So moving on to material 2. The stage is at production stage. The title would be Wonderful People. And the skills are listening and speaking skills. For the teacher's role, the teacher will greet the students, and then the teacher will explain the topic for the lesson related to the people, which is wonderful people. And the teacher will ask the students some questions. The rationale is to arouse the students' interest about the topic. And the questions are, first, the teacher will ask about the definition of the culture, and then the teacher will just pick random students and ask whether they have pierced their ears or not to catch their attention. And then the teacher will have ask them whether they had any infections or not. And then the teacher will introduce and explain briefly about the topic of the day, wonderful people, and how to deal with people. For the next stage is presentation stage, and the title is learning grammar. The skills required are listening and speaking skills, and the teaching aid is Google. The teacher will explain about the grammatical items that the students will learn for the lesson, and then the grammatical items that they will focus for the day. Will be adjective and also verbs. And the students are required to identify 3 examples for each of the grammatical items. This is to expand the students' idea and focus about their languages. And then moving on to the practice stage, the title would be sentence identification, and as usual, the skills would be listening skills, and the mode will be individual for this time. Teaching aids required were teaching aids used were Canva, Kahoot, and also Padlet. So for this, the teacher will tell the student about the first activity by showing them the slides, and the teacher will provide them with examples for grammatical items. And the teacher will ask them to scan the QR code from the recorded text, and the students will be required to listen to it and also identify 3 grammatical items, which are adjectives and verbs, individually within 10 minutes. And then the students will answer true or false questions. For the second last part, production part is find the grammar is the title, skills, listening skills, and the mode is discussion mode. And the teaching aid used was the same as the previous one. So teacher will put the students into 4 groups. For each group, they'll have to scan the QR code, and then the students will have to identify grammatical items and construct questions, sentences. And at least they should get 5 or 8 correct for this time. And at the end of the part, the teacher will give feedbacks. This is to recognize whether the students understand listening skills or not. And for the last part, closure part, the title is recap, and it's about listening and speaking skills. And the teaching aid used is Padlet. The teacher will recap the entire thing for the day, and the teacher asks the students whether what they have learned for the day, and that's where the teacher ends the class. This is to ensure whether students master up the lesson for the day or not. And moving on to the attachment of teaching material.
So thank you, Mukesh. So now we will be seeing how creative that we have created some materials for the students. So as we can see here for the first material, right, we have provided a passage there. It's a conversation between Siti and Raju. And when you all see there's 2 QR codes there. So for the first QR code, when the students scan, it will bring them to the Vacaro website, which is the conversation where students will be able to listen to the conversation. And the second QR code will take them to another page where it will show them some images of the akad nikah, which is the Muslim wedding ceremony. And students have to answer these questions by clicking on the Padlet link below, and it will bring them to the Padlet page, and students have to answer the questions there. So moving on to the second material that we have created. Here we have created a passage on ear piercing ceremony. So when students scan the QR code on the right hand side there, it will bring them to the Vacaro website again, and there they will be able to hear the whole passage. And then the task for this passage is student will have to answer true or false. In case the students do not have enough time for them to answer, what the students can do is to click on the link below, and it will bring them to a Kahoot page. And that is where students can also practice again and again to answer the questions. So we have also given them another task there where students have to scan the QR code below, and it will bring them to a Padlet page. So on this task 2, what are we emphasizing is on grammar elements. Students are required to list down 5 adjectives and also 5 verbs that they can find from the passage. And then students have to construct 2 sentences from each elements given. which is the grammar element. So that is all for the second material that we have provided. And overall, this is what we have done. So that is all from us, Miss. Thank you.
And before we end our part, I would like to say a small quote. Listening is not a skill, it is a discipline. So with that, we thank you, madam. Have a nice day.